like it. It's a
Dave,
little
you
better.
are so exciting. It's unbelievable.
What did he say?
Yeah, we're there we go. Yeah, I was gonna say we're not gonna start this officially.
This is called
Andy,
this is called sync dancing.
we get Dave out of his shell
Spirit
here.
hands. Spirit hands.
You didn't know what Dave, you didn't know what you signed up for, did you? No, hey.
My turn.
Sure.
I was
Get
looking
those jazz hands going, Dave. That's my wife hates the jazz hands.
I was looking at John.
That's hilarious. Now you can share the feed, Kim. I know you were very extremely concerned about that. So, but no, we're live, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is the second DuPage Real Producers Jam Sesh, and so we've been running these in the city for quite some time now. Kevin, I want to give you some props for. I'm not super plugged into the DuPage community, but we just started running it, and so I'm honored to share the screen with these individuals. These are fun, and what I know about realtors is, I mean, we with the pause of the in-person events, we just found a way to get creative to connect people. What I know about realtors is that they're very collaborative. Real estate's one of those industries where it's a two-sided coin. You got one side of the coin that's very entrepreneur and type A, and I got to get mine. And sometimes when that happens, you bulldoze other people. However, successful realtors I know over the course of their careers realize, the other side of the coin sometimes gets ignored. And that is, the side that's, hey, we all got to get along and play nice in the sandbox. And so, because, it's going to come back. And so, as we all know, the DuPage Real Producers, the physical publication goes to the top 500 producing agents in DuPage County based on closed production in the county itself. And I want to give the opportunity for the realtors to introduce themselves, just because I'm literally going to get out of the way. Let's be honest. I'm going to add zero value to this conversation whatsoever. I'm just the facilitator. That's all I do is show up and smile. And even sometimes that does not really add a whole lot of value to people. So that being said, who are we kicking it off with? I think Lisa, why don't you go first and introduce yourself?
Okay, Lisa Keating. I'm with Century 21 affiliated, and this is my 37th year in real estate, being a broker. So I've seen a lot of changes.
Wow. Lisa and I just remember being with you for many of those 30 years.
Yes.
I'm Diana Ivas, and I'm with Berkshire Hathaway, and I think I've been in real estate not as long as Lisa, but pretty close, like 32 years.
Woo!
Ooh, and I'm Joan Wayman from Keller Williams in Downers Grove. I actually started in real estate as a landlord in 1995. I was 12. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. But I sell and help people with real estate.
Dave Ricordati. I'm a real estate agent with County Land Properties in downtown Hinsdale, and I started in 1998, right down the block from Diana.
Yes.
I'm Sean O'Brien. I'm with Wilk Real Estate. I guess I'm the baby of the bunch here. I've been in real estate for almost 10 years. I'm also a loan originator with Marketplace Mortgage, and I've been doing that as well for the last approximately 3 years.
Okay.
We have some experience on this. This is great. So I'm going to give a chance in a quick sec, just to allow the partners to introduce themselves. But I just want to say, like, anybody who knows me knows I keep it light. I have a very dry sense of humor, but this is the 99% of my life is dad jokes and just, I try to keep things fun. But I mean, this is literally the 1% of my week where I'm dead serious. Like, without we pride ourselves in being a non-pay to play platform for realtors. Anybody you see featured in the publication, they're not paying us for it. It's not toot your own horn. People get featured based on nominations. Realtors nominate other realtors, partners nominate realtors, and close production. Obviously, you have to put up the work ethic to do this and to be featured. So we are all supported by businesses who want to add value to the community. And so I literally cannot do what I do without our partners. 2020 has been an insane year, and it's our partners who stuck with us. These types of interactions do not happen without people like Kevin, Ryan, and Kim. So I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for sticking it out with us. And I think once the in-person stuff does resume, it's going to be one of those, 2 steps back, 5 steps forward types thing. But we're at the 2 steps back part. And this is a layer of our platform that will continue even when the world returns to some hint of normalcy. So I'm going to shut up, give the partners a chance to introduce themselves, and then we're going to start rocking out. So Kim, go ahead.
Yep, I'm Kim Cosentino. I run the DeClutter Box. We're an organizing service. We're decluttering so those pictures look great for the realtors. We also help stage just with basically what people have when we do moving sales. And I have been around since 1995. When the Container Store opened up in Oak Brook, I started my business. That's a long time ago.
Last millennium.
Yes.
Kevin, Ryan.
One of the boys is next.
You guys
Go
can
ahead,
flip
Ryan.
virtual.
You got the sweet loft space. Why don't you tell us where you're hanging out?
Oh, this is my loft over in Nashville. I'm waiting for it to kind of open up a little bit more. No, this is just my virtual background. I'm hanging out in Chicago Title in Westchester. Andy, thanks for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be part of DuPage Real Producers and have the chance to, listen to you guys collaborate. I've been doing a lot of that through my career, which I started in real estate. My senior year at DePaul University with an internship. So I'm going on about 18 years total in the industry, 11 of which were in title, 7, 8-ish as a loan officer. So what a crazy year it's been. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I appreciate you all being here. I was glad to help Andy put the group together. You all bring different areas of practice together, or areas that you work in, and it's always good to hear that. I've been doing this for about 25 years. I know Dave's got a couple of briefcases that are older than that, but been in the game kind of to see some high and some low, and it's every day is an adventure. And Ryan and I have commiserated about this a lot past couple of weeks. Every time you think you figured out what the thing is going to be, then the next thing comes along. And the obvious disruptor was COVID, but you've got other things, changing market conditions, all kinds of crazy things that we are struggling with. And I like to do it with you all. It's not an accident that you're all here. You're fun to work with. You're always professional. And on a rare occasion, I can see one or both of you on a transaction, which is awesome.
And that's great. Thanks, Kevin. And Kevin, and also Chicago Title and Ryan, those are actually 2 industries that support both markets, DuPage and Chicago as well. So one thing I will do, because I keep getting requests on this before we start rocking out, people keep asking me, hey, Andy, do you have a digital version of the magazine? How come I don't get one? Of course we do. It's 2021. So if you want a digital version, we have a PDF, but let's face it, if I send a high resolution 80-page, 50-page PDF to a realtor, they're not going to look at it. We have an app that we launched last year. And so eventually, I'm sure they'll start charging for it. Currently, it is free. It's called Digipub, D-I-G-A, P as in Paul, U as in umbrella, B as in boy. It's on the App Store, Google Play. If you download it, set up an account. As long as you have a copy on your phone, when they do start charging for it, if they do, you'll be grandfathered in. So I just want to encourage people, if people say, hey, can I have a past issue, or to have hard copy, that's the best way to have it at your fingertips, because that generally is up on our platform before the hard copy hits. It's kind of like a little sneak peek. So that's it. I'm going to stop talking and let's start jamming. So I think, Sean, I'm going to vert to you. You had a good talking point when we were sort of pre-gaming. So take it away, and we'll start talking shop.
All right, yeah. So the one thing that everybody is talking about, whether it's a buyer or a seller, or even someone who's just thinking about buying or selling right now, is holy smokes, what's going on with the market? Home prices continue to rise even after COVID. Rates are starting to jump really fast now from all-time lows in November, December. So there was this thinking that I think through COVID, I think a lot of people thought that, well, if I'm going to list, I don't want to list now because I don't want a lot of people running through my house and potentially, leaving little germs everywhere. So a lot of those listings got held back, and now we're seeing, I think coming into 2021, a lot more of those listings starting to hit the market. But with the rates rising, I think there's a lot of competition to get at those nice listings that are coming up. So is anyone else seeing insurmountable hurdles in some cases with that? Because sometimes I'll tell you, I've been work with one client that got beat out on at least 2 cash offers that, you know, and when that comes, there's just nothing you can do unless they're cash also.
I agree with you, Sean. I think for some of us, we haven't experienced this market, right, for a long time, like double offers, triple offers. And I think anyway, for me, it caught me by surprise. And you had to go back and think of all those tips and things you used to do with multiple offers, and you got to bring it to the table now. I mean, it was just a surprise. Like you said, it just kind of all of a sudden happened.
Yeah, Diana, I agree with you on that. I have several clients that I've been working with, and golly, I wish I was up against only 3 or 4 offers for my buyer. I've been literally in multiple offers. 28 offers were received on one property. I was one of 28. And, you know, the agent was very, I try and build a rapport with the, you know, I will text them or I'll call them and say, hey, I've got an offer coming in. What are we up against? Da, 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 da. She goes, I moved my sellers out of the house. We had 60 showings in 48 hours and 28 offers. And it was crazy. And this is happening over and over and over again.
Where was this house and like what price range? Because I think the price range.
It was right around at 4 to 4 1/4. And it was in the western suburbs. But I'm showing the same client, and I have 14 offers in with this client over the course of about 8 weeks. And all of them that we have submitted have been at least list price, if not higher. And you know, you talk about the tips and all of that we're utilizing from the buyer's side. You know, when you're buyers, you're showing your buyers escalation clauses, waiving. I haven't had a lender who was willing to waive an appraisal, but my client said, well, if it appraises out for $10,000 less than what I'm offering, I can cover it. I mean, just incredible.
Yeah,
as is waiving
inspections.
inspections.
For you, Lisa, on that, what I'm seeing now is on conventional financing, folks coming in under that 80% and waiving the appraisal, and then, you know, asking me, well, what does waiving the appraisal really mean? You know, when I come in cash heavy. So I was with a group yesterday, or maybe it was the day before, somebody, and I'd be curious to hear from you, talked about a reverse contingency, which I'd never seen, where you go ahead and put your house on the market, but you haven't even gone into the marketplace for the buy yet. So you wind up with closings 60 plus days out. That's, yeah, I see Joan nodding her head. That's a new one by me.
So actually on Monday, we had some data from DuPage County. Keller Williams introduces it every week, and it does like a weekly snapshot. And in the 24 hours prior to Monday, these numbers are pretty shocking. In DuPage County, there was 334 active listings. 83 were new, or plus 83 new, 103 under contingent, and 43 closed in that week before. But what's interesting is there were 810 listings on the private network in DuPage County. So we have 2.5 times properties on the private network than what's on the public network. And the reason being is we have a lot of sellers that aren't feeling comfortable putting their house up because it's going to sell like a rocket. And then they don't know where they're going. Right. But like you said, Kevin, the deal I'm in, couple of them right now, we did extend the closing date so they would have time to find where they were going. So it's definitely, one more point about this is what you're seeing then, it's the realtors who are back in control of the data versus Zillow or whatever. So it's not
it's really interesting, Joan. And you said that, you know, speaking of statistics, I was on something yesterday with an organization, Home DuPage, and you know, Main Street Organization of Realtors came in and gave us some stats. And, you know, what really blew my mind yesterday was that 1.3 month, you know, absorption rate, right? I mean, that's mind blowing. I mean, for all of us that have been in this industry, especially you guys, the realtors at the front line. I mean, you know, and for anyone listening in Facebook world, that's only, if no more listings hit the market, that's only 1.3 months, and we wouldn't have any. And correct me if I'm wrong, but usually like a healthy market is, or healthy buyer market, it's what, a couple times that or something? I mean, that's just staggering.
I think we've been used to like 6 months for,
Yeah.
I mean, even longer. You know, you run the hot sheet or you run a certain price range, everything would be active. And now when you do that, it's contingent and AI, and it's getting used to that.
Even in
Right.
private network, there's a ton of properties that are already contingent in the private network. So as you go through that, you know, like, because I run through that private network probably 3 times a day, you know.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
it's like every time you go through it, oh, all right, this looks great, and then that's contingent already. Okay, so
Yeah.
Some success that some agents in our office have been having, although this is a secret, don't tell anybody,
Oh, okay.
is that
we're on
let's see if
Facebook Live, you know.
yeah, oh,
Just
There-
between
Well,
ourselves.
We'll let you tell them, Joan. Continue.
yeah. So if you have a buyer, some success has been had from properties that had not sold in the past. So going back 2 years and saying what properties expired or what properties were canceled. Because you know, at some point they had thought to sell, but it's just not on the market now. So that has also been another area of success for finding houses for people to buy.
Right. And those people, exactly, Joan, are the ones that need to know that their home prices have escalated quite a bit. Even if they've been off for 12 months, it's escalated quite a bit. Unbelievably so. And talking about the private network, Joan, yeah, I'm scouring it. I'm constantly into it and hoping and praying. I see that where they say no showings, and then they say it'll go active, and then yes, you can share it with clients. If they say yes, you can share it with clients, I'm calling the listing agent going, and when are you going to release this so we can show it? You're just trying to get a jump, And
And
go
I
ahead.
don't know why, I think we should do a better job, I guess. I mean, not just us, all realtors, to have the sellers understand that I think all the realtors and their clients are very respectful when they enter a home. They wear masks, you know, if they want us to wear the booties or even the gloves. I mean, everybody's so receptive on doing that. I mean, through this whole COVID situation, I think anyway.
Oh, no, I agree with you, Diana. From the minute I put a listing on, we went into shelter in place. I think it was on Saturday, March 23rd. And I talked with my seller. We went live active that Tuesday. And he was like, well, how is this going to work? Are people going to come? And we did the video, and that was just on the front end of you know, people not coming and looking at videos and the high def pictures, which are so important these days. But yeah, having little bags, disposable bags there with the masks, with the gloves, with the booties, a little sign, this is, wear these and then take them with you. It's a whole different life. It's been a whole different life since then.
And even at open houses, public open houses, again, people are just used to wearing the mask, and I've never had to ask anybody, you know, to put it on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I carry gloves. I carry the gloves in my car. And if my client gets out, of course they have their mask on, but they don't have gloves. I go, oh, I have a variety of sizes. Let me look at your hands. I give it to them. I just have it. It's, you know, these surgical gloves, the boxes in my back seat. And I want them to protect themselves as well as protect, you know, the seller's property too. You know, it just seems to be the thing to do. But
That
yeah, new
seems so-
line item, PPE.
Oh yeah. Well, it seems so interesting to me with you guys doing this. And, you know, does somebody who wants to list their home even really need to have an open house these days in DuPage County? You know, especially western suburbs have just been, you know, it's crazy. I mean, do you guys do any open houses currently for your listings, or is it you don't even really need to do it with how many showings you have, or combination of both? Maybe one day of an open house and you're good with your 50 offers or whatever you had, Lisa.
Oh, unbelievable. Yeah.
Wow.
I know that I have scheduled appointments. The listings have popped. I schedule them, we're going out bright and early the next morning. And before I even get there, I'm getting a text that says, oh, we're in multiple offers. They're due, highest and best is due by the end of the day. And we haven't even gotten into the house yet. It's just the way of life these days.
Although, Dave, I think in our Hinsdale, Oak Brook, Burr Ridge market, I don't think we're seeing that many offers, multiple offers. I mean, I have listings that, you know, are still sitting a while in the upper price range.
The only multiple offer we've been in was out of Hinsdale. I agree, Dana. I think the one thing that went to Sean's original point about the market is, I don't remember a market where the market was this tight, where we've had a strong market with low interest rates and everybody buying, and it's been so strong with this record low inventory. That's the part that's got me mind boggled, where you take a buyer out and if they miss out on a house, sometimes there's nothing else that really meets their criteria.
Right.
And it sits another week or 2 or 3 with that buyer, and you can't take them out and show them anything. You know, back in the olden days before 2008, you know, that's like the, you know, AD BC thing. Before 2008 was, you know, there being another house to show them. And now it just seems like there is nothing else to show. The inventory is just so low.
But I also think from the HGTV, you know, all the shows that people watch about how beautiful a house should be, I think buyers' expectations are a lot higher than they've ever been. And I'm sure everybody will agree with me. You know, I mean, a lot of people, you know, especially first-time home buyers, even though they say, oh, well, I'll do a little work or whatever, they really don't mean they'll do a little work. I mean, they want it as perfect as possible. And, you know, I think some sellers, many sellers are there trying to make their house as perfect as possible, but there's certainly many sellers that are like, no, I'm not going to paint my cabinets white. You know, they've been oak this long, the buyer can do that. So there's kind of a interesting thing there.
So in 2020, sorry, here's another piece of data. In 2020, 59% of all purchases were first-time home buyers. And according to the data that's come in as of Monday, 3 times, so 30% of those were millennials, and the millennials are turning 29. So far this year, 3 times more closed purchases are millennials than they were this time last year. So millennials are jumping in. So maybe it's the low interest rates, or
also many of them are coming from the city.
Yeah.
You know, because they want, you know, many times they wanted to stay longer in the city, but now with everything happening in the city, all the crime and so forth, you know, they're moving here sooner than they thought.
And I think on my end, I've done some marketing stuff with some different groups in that, you know, age group. And it was pretty interesting, like the ones, at least the sample size that I had on some Zooms this past year, it seems to me like they just took some time and really saved some money. You know, like a lot of the ones that I talked to were talking about putting down 20 and even 30% on some of these calls that I did, which I thought was interesting. I think they're looking at it. A lot of them are involved in the stock market, and some of them, the ones on my calls actually were talking about the generational wealth, and, you know, they've had some success in the stock market, and they're looking at real estate, you know, for part of their portfolio, which is really interesting. I know when I bought my first place back in the day, there were a lot of people that weren't putting any money down.
Yeah.
So.
My first rental property, I had 3.5% down, and I knew that I was moving in with my mom and dad because I had circumstances where, and I knew I could cover the rent. So now I look back, how many ever years that is, a long time ago. Now it's kind of like a hedge for inflation, right? So as prices go up, guess what else goes up? Rents. So, you know, you're not getting the money in the T-bills or whatever, but it's a nice alternative to the volatile stock market. You know, look at GameStop, right? So at least you have a tangible asset. You have to deal with tenants, but, you know, it's nice when the check comes to your mailbox every month.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Some lenders are loosening the requirements for reserves to buy income property again. So I'm seeing investors come back into the marketplace. One interesting thing that, Andy alluded to it a little bit, I'm also in the Chicago market. The multi-unit, the condo market in the city is the exact opposite. It's got about a 2.5 year supply. So what I'm seeing is exactly the opposite within the Chicago condo market. Is you've got folks that are demanding everything and then some, and because sellers just want to get out for whatever reason, buyers are getting a lot of accommodations. And one of the other things that I would suggest to you all, for whatever different reason, it seems that a lot of the city brokers, city realtors proper, are afraid of the suburbs in the sense that, oh my goodness, that's like a long ride. And I kid one of my good referral sources from the city that Oak Brook is only 18 miles from the city. Not driving to Peoria, Mike. But what I'm seeing is a lot of folks in the city looking for cooperation, either through Ryan or through other partners, because their clients are moving out to the great wide west of DuPage County, and they're not leaving the city to come work out here. So we've got some opportunities for you all to work with, the home office, so to speak, to pick up referrals for folks that are moving out this way. But it's curious when you've got kind of a foot in each pond to see what's happening in each location. And as you all know, right, location, even within the city or in DuPage County, for example, Downers Grove and Naperville are just hot all the time. There's no not good time to be looking in those places. So some of the stuff is curious. And one of the things, Dave, I'm curious, when you talk about the Hinsdale, Oak Brook, Burr Ridge area, I'm hearing more now folks that are saying, we really were thinking about retiring in 2 or 3 or whatever year, but because the market is so hot, we're just selling now and we're just going to go rent somewhere because they want to capture top dollar on their sale. They're not really sure where they're headed, but I think that's an interesting concept too. I've not seen a lot of folks say, we're just going to sell and go rent, but they're looking just a couple of years down the road. And that's creating, I think, some additional opportunities as well.
I think we've seen a couple of people jump the gun and buy some condos. I haven't seen any people jump the gun and rent. Have you, Diana? I've seen some people jump the gun and buy some condos and some townhomes and maybe thinking about buying a place in Florida, but I haven't seen anybody jump the gun and rent.
No, I think selling sooner than they expected, moving to Florida or moving to Arizona. Again, it depends where their immediate family is too.
Yeah, for sure.
I guess what makes it make sense or not is how much are they spending on rent? How much are they, leveraging in their home where, if they're thinking they're getting an extra $20,000 than they normally would, are they throwing that all away in rent? Does it even out? So I guess it depends on the price point and, what they're looking at to rent.
And just recently, like yesterday, where somebody was going to put their house back on the market and I had a buyer ready to see it, they switched gears on me and they said, Diana, I'm sorry, we're not going to sell. This was in Western Springs. We're not going to sell now because when we go to look at something, now those things are getting expensive. So it doesn't make sense for us to make that change. We might as well stay here. We'll paint it real nice and we'll stay here for a little bit longer. So this happened to me, one in Burr Ridge, and then, like I said, one yesterday in Western Springs.
Yeah, I'm finding that I have several listings that I'm waiting to release, but we're not doing it until I'm able to make sure that they have a place to go. And, we're being patient. One of them's already under contract, but, we're going through the attorney review and home inspection and that. So we're getting to that point. And it's very fortunate that, both of these sellers that are in inventory for right now, backlog, they're in a position where they don't have to come in with a contingency because from the listings that I've been showing, that's the number one question an agent is asking me once they get an offer. Are you sure you're not contingent? And I'm like, yep, talk to the loan officer, And but I'm afraid to, I tell my sellers, no, we got to find you a place first, or you're gonna be homeless. You're gonna be living in your car or in temporary housing until we find something because of the shortage. The shortage.
Lisa, saying that you have those listings in your pocket right now, potentially coming up, you might be blowing up on Facebook Messenger and text and everything else. People are going to want to know where they are.
Yeah, I know.
It's been an interesting thing, and this, yeah, I mean, this has been coming up so much lately, and I'm incredibly optimistic. I guess I'm just kind of that way by nature. And as Kevin mentioned earlier, him and I are constantly talking about, different marketing, right? I know, Diana, you were talking earlier, and it kind of piqued my curiosity, and something that I've been talking with some agents is, sending mailers out to expired listings, right? Kind of switching up your marketing plan for this year. And some people that I was with yesterday, and I know this came up with Kevin and I as well, is, we kind of missed our spring market mailer. And I'm like, there is no rhyme or reason. And right now couldn't be more perfect, because those listings and things like that will pop. I strongly believe they will. There's too many people who tried to work on their houses and just realized that they can't. There's people like me who are busting out of the seams of their little houses since they've been there so much, or my yard's too small, my yard's too big. There's just 1,000,001 reasons for people to list a home. I just hope we get comfortable with that. It'll be interesting to see, like, if any of you guys are here, if any of you guys have switched up any marketing that you've been doing in 2021. Are you doing that with vacant or expireds or anything like that?
I know I've gone back to people that I've been referred from, like last year or the year before, sending a mailer, calling them. Yeah, so you definitely need to do that. I don't have any great stories about that yet.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm like you, Diana, going back through your repertoire and looking to see, and it's all part of a regular marketing, trying to talk to past clients every week. You gotta talk to some of them. Those of us that have been in the business a long time. We have a big book of clients and returning clients, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud to say I've done 3 generations in one family. Of course, that's dating myself, but 37
awesome.
years in the marketplace.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Like, oh, I'm the family realtor. All right.
Oh, I love that.
Love it.
I take myself out of this conversation from a professional standpoint and just look at some conversations that my wife and I have had for the last couple of weeks here with, public schools. Do we do some private schools? We have a half acre. I kind of want a larger lot. And, we started to open that up in our own world as consumers. We started to look in, Winfield area, Winfield, that, Wheaton area where there's some larger lots. And she was blown away. I said, go take a look, because things just are not on the market very long. So I don't know. It'd be so interesting to hear what you guys are like telling your buyers with that, because I know at home, even being in the industry, my wife just got so frustrated, thinking that, how do we do that? Like, how do we sell our house and go purchase that? Where would we live? It was like, it's just a chaotic thought for buyers, I think, right now, without having that extra inventory.
Ryan, looking at your little symbol, Chicago title, one thing which we will all agree on, with Kevin, everyone here, that the closing process has changed so much. Where, since last March, when they told us, well, you can't come to the closing. Well, like, why not? Can't we come to the closing? Because that's your last touch for quite a few months with that buyer or seller. I mean, it was such a nice thing to personally thank them for their business. Just at the closing table, share stories and so forth.
Oh, you hit a huge thing, Diana. You hit a huge thing. And what you're referring to in the closing escrow world is the celebratory aspect of purchasing or selling a home.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, since March, it has gone by the wayside. It was something, from our standpoint, we didn't know what to do, right? I mean, we've been busting out of the seams since March. So, I mean, our offices, our staff, there's been no breaks. It's been insanity. I had my little funny Fresh Prince of Chicago title video out there, kind of talking about all the ways we had to adjust. And something that I've been talking even with Kevin about for this past year, and I reached out to some realtors and ask them, why hasn't anybody done a celebratory aspect of a virtual closing? Meaning, I can understand how frustrating that is to not have that last look. But I've talked to many professionals, and I'm curious if everybody schedules it in their phones, and the attorney hopefully is going to closing. I'm not even going to touch that one right now. I want to be respectful of those that don't show up because of certain issues, but on our end, they need to be available. But I'm gonna come back to that one a little bit later. But for you, Diana, one of the things that I was hoping to see more was a quick text message from your referral partners, right? Your team, to just say, hey, we're waiting on some funding. We're about ready to close, or hey, we just funded, and then hit that FaceTime or that, whatever video type chat you can do from your phone to put that smile on and just say, hey, Diana, I'm so sorry I couldn't be there with COVID. Everybody's limited in rooms, like that's the celebratory aspect went by the wayside, and it's a shame. I mean, I'm seeing some realtors attend closings now. I wish that trend would have picked up. So you guys could still have that opportunity, because I know it's tough. It was tough on our end. What do we do, to keep everybody safe and healthy? We didn't quite know.
Well, I find that I'm doing the celebratory, it might be a little bit in advance, but for a final walkthrough, I'm still doing final walkthroughs. And then at closing, like you said, do something. And I'm waiting for my client's text to say, oh, we're funded, yay. Then I shoot them back a text, and on the text, you can have in the background the fireworks or the big bright light and stuff like that. And I always send that for sure and talk to them. And then, usually I'll swing by, when I find out when they're going to the house and stuff like that, just to go, it's yours, it's yours.
I still go to closings if it means I have to wait in the lobby or in the parking lot or whatever. I want to be there in case they need me. And I want to be there when they walk out with smiles on their faces, because let's be honest, a lot of this process has been very difficult we just talked about how the market is. And, for myself, where I'm in some cases, both the agent and the lender, I've got both ends of the problems. So, when they come out and we've gotten through it, it's such a relief. And then, the smiles and the congratulations, and, we can still have that outside. So
I just have a different question. And it's for Kim. Are you seeing any drops in, because the millennials and the young folks who don't have a lot of possessions at that point in their lives, mostly when they go to move or sell, and the seniors, what I have on my situation is you've got a lot of seniors who just really are not comfortable yet having anyone in their house. They might be having some intermittent health issues. So that whole segment of my business is kind of stagnant. Are you seeing from the decluttering estate sale situation, like an impact on your business? Because it seems to me
Actually, since probably last May, my business has boomed. I've taken I'm like the problem solver. Now they've sold the house, and they're overwhelmed with all this stuff in their house that they're downsizing, especially your seniors, but a lot of people who are 50, 60, 70 years old. I see a lot of people that are moving downtown, and again, out of state for tax reasons. So they are calling on me, and I do my sales a little bit differently. So I don't just do the 2 days. I actually have started pre-sales for people. So when they are open to me coming with people who want items, because these days people buy what they need. They don't buy because, oh, I can get a great deal or I want to refinish it. We don't have time for all that stuff anymore. And so I'm selling quite a bit more because I'm also posting it on Craigslist and OfferUp and opening it up to different avenues to sell things. And then when the sale is done, anything that's stained, broken, or ripped, we donate. So we get it out of there so that they can easily close. So I am taking the weight off their shoulders of the stuff they have to deal with. And we have a lot of people who want to buy, but definitely the market is saturated with stuff. And there's so many more Goodwills and super savers that people don't want to pay too much for things anymore. And so I have to explain to my clients, which many times are one of your clients, to be realistic. You're getting 25 cents on the dollar. If you do have a new Crate and Barrel table, maybe you're getting 50 cents on the dollar. And I always have that backup of a resale shop. And it's the high-end resale shop in Hinsdale called the Courtyard. So if they have very nice things, we can send it over there. And then part of it is donation to the cancer program. So there's a lot of options. There's a few things I'll even take for eBay at Mother's Day or Christmas. And I'm trying to take care of all the nice things for them and still be able to get rid of what they have so they can close on time and feel good about where they're at.
And
I
Kim,
could have
So
reached out to you this
all
winter.
in by appointment.
Kim, you do
Pardon?
it all online, right? Or do they come to the house? Or you do
The
both?
ads are online. I do everything online trying to sell it. They will call me to make an appointment. So that's a very comfortable thing for me and for the client, because now I've talked to these people. I have their phone numbers versus opening the whole house up to people wandering in and out. And then they come and they pick it up. And when they come to pick it up, we have the booties, we have the masks, and they can look at what else is available. Because a lot of times people buy other things. So we try to put out the larger items. We don't do the little tchotchke stuff anymore. So if the holiday is not happening right now, we're not putting that stuff out unless it's of value. But I put as many pictures as needed online out of that main ad. And then I spread it out depending on, like, right now, bikes would be what people are looking for, and lawnmowers and things like that. That's what I'm putting on Craigslist.
The workout equipment, that stuff has gone through the roof.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, Kim, I should have reached out to you this winter for sleds. I was on Facebook
God,
Marketplace and OfferUp trying to find sleds. I mean, I went to a half a dozen different
Yes.
stores. I ended up going to a house, and I know I paid I did give the individual $20 per saucer sled. I scored. He had two or three, or he had like three of them. Yeah, they're about $5 or $7. But here I was like, where are you? You're in Rivers. Okay, I'll be there in 15 minutes.
That's it. Yes, and people are coming because they want things. When this started back in May, I had a man. I put a freezer online. And he said, I'm coming from Wisconsin and buying this. I have half a cow I bought, and I'm getting it. And freezers were not being made. You see all these things because they weren't essential workers. The businesses were closed, and we didn't have a lot of these items available, and they became hot commodities in my market.
Sure.
For sellers, I've had this happen a few times where somebody gives an offer, like, all right, I want to pay $600,000, but I would like all the furniture that the seller is willing to leave. And when I put that offer to the seller, I'm like, this is the best thing, because, if you're moving out of state or you're moving up north and you were going to get rid of this furniture anyway, I say right away, you're not going to get very much for used furniture. So to leave it with your house and not have the burden of moving it, not having to pay for moving it, is a great commodity. So that's
what they do in Florida. My mother-in-law just moved back up here from Naples, and they sell those houses furnished. So they are thrilled. A lot of people, of course, have passed away, but up here, there are some people that are offended by that. The buyers will say, well, they're a little offended. I've had people call me because the buyers have offered them nothing for their stuff. They said, at least if the buyers had offered me $1,000. So when it becomes a separate entity from the house, whatever you don't want to take, if you want to leave the couch and the desk and whatever, and we'd offer you $1,500 for it. Even that little bit of money makes a difference to people because they still feel there's value to it and it shouldn't just be included. So a lot of times pardon?
I was going to say, because that's a personal thing that they've enjoyed. It's
right,
not just a commodity.
So what happens is, yes, especially when you're getting the younger people buying a home and they say, oh, we'll leave everything you don't want. And, we'll take the patio set and we'll take this. I think the way it's good to get the realtor involved to be more diplomatic about it. And instead of sometimes the buyers leaving notes or something, because I've had a few clients over the past year that have been offended by, well, leave everything for us, but they don't offer anything for it.
And no,
So it's happened more than once.
None of you do this on a regular basis. God bless you. What we don't want, though, and this I will appeal to Sean on the lender's side, please do not attach an addendum. And Diana and I have dealt with this with one client of 35 pieces of personal property that are included in the contract. All it does is create additional work. And the answer you're always going to hear from my office is personal property, lawyers don't want to know about it. Keep us out of the middle of it, handle it outside of closing. It creates too many issues with lenders.
Yeah.
Yes,
That doesn't make-
Lenders don't want to see it on there.
Yeah,
And I don't want to
does
see it
happen.
closing,
I
waiting for
actually-
somebody to do a Venmo or give me a check for personal property, and people's feelings are getting hurt. Keep that outside of the closing room.
What you're saying, Kevin, is
And when
that's not black and white. That doesn't make things smooth. I just want to clarify for everybody.
It
Yeah,
should
that
not
doesn't-
be, the
I'm
lenders
kidding.
will all tell you personal property should not be in the contract. We could put it in black and white outside of the contract,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be something that, Ryan's closers are going to want to deal with me to work through
Sure.
because it's outside of the actual closing.
I've seen some
I
silly
think
things,
about-
guys. I've seen a $500 older piano almost blow up a $1 million sale in Naperville. It was absurd, and one side just really used it, and it was in there. I mean, it was bizarro. We got into that, and it was funny because the clients. I actually was asked to go help sign a deed because the job had sent them to California earlier. So this came. It was unbelievable. This came up, and they're just like, I know that piano is going to be a problem, and sure enough, it was. It was so silly to see a transaction like that go that way. It was an excuse, really, to almost get out of it. It did close, though, and I think they kept the piano. So the piano lived on.
Doesn't the 7.0 contract say additional personal property items at no additional expense?
Yeah, now,
Yes,
Dave,
it does.
don't focus on the plain language of a contract. Please. That would make all of our lives so much
You
easier.
can't, but you can't put 35 items in there, I don't think.
Yeah, right.
Because then I've had a lender say to me, all right, if you're gonna put all that in there, then we're gonna have to come out and appraise.
How would you fit 35 items on there? I can't even fit like 4 items on there.
Yeah.
Can I bring up something that I've noticed with showing time? Where it's so, they want you to show your property, you say yes, you confirm it. I think some of the personal back and forth with the other realtor has gone by the wayside. Are you guys seeing that, especially Dave and Lisa, Joan? We've been
Oh, yeah, Diana,
for
for
so
sure.
long, where
Yeah.
we would call that realtor and, the realtor would tell you different things. Oh, you're going to love, the backyard is great. And, whatever, that personal has just gone by the wayside.
Yeah, and with the showing time, you go in there and of course, our sellers can confirm or deny the appointment, but when you're trying to make the appointment and you get a denial for the appointment time and you're like, okay, am I supposed to guess? Can I have some instructions as to what time would be good? And you try and get that, and then I have actually had it where I have sent a personal note to the selling agent, and they go, oh, well, let me double check. I said, I'm not going to keep guessing. I'm just not going to do it. And yeah, Diana, I feel the same way.
I've tried, when I get a response, and I don't have it go to the seller, I call the seller, so I have that personal relationship with them, and I try to confirm it right away. But sometimes, I'll just send a text to the realtor that, oh, I'm glad you're showing my house. I just want to keep that communication going, because I'm sure, again, all of you have found there's so many realtors. There's so many new realtors. There's so many realtors from out of the area. Like Kevin, you were talking about the Chicago realtors. Maybe they don't want to come here. I don't know. I see a lot of Chicago realtors coming here. You know, they don't want to give up their client. They'll go anywhere. So I think it's just a little bit more of a challenge to have a good conversation, a good relationship with some of the newer agents. Or
And I agree with you. And like, I think additionally, to snowball with that, if you have that upfront contact, that rapport in the beginning, you're much more likely to get feedback in the end.
Right.
Oh,
Ryan started alluding to this earlier, and I think it comes back to the collegiality. I have been very proud with 2 exceptions. I have not closed buys remotely since this time last year. I'm of the opinion, my office of the opinion, it's important for us to be there for our buyers. What we're noticing though, and it's becoming problematic, is if the buyer's attorney is not there, or where we see it more often is if the seller's attorney isn't at the table and we have the walkthrough problem or the this or the that, you know, I guess this is as much for my colleagues as yours. You need to be available, because if we're closing at 9 o'clock and we've got a walkthrough issue, I can't wait until 1 o'clock in the afternoon to talk to you about it. So we need to have some ability. And you know, Ryan and I have talked about this before. I miss seeing you all at the table, mostly because, particularly this group, you're nice people, and you know I get along with you, and that makes me
Thank you.
but it also helps us to be able to resolve things at the table. What I've noticed where we're running into problems because of COVID is one or both attorneys are remote, and the poor and Ryan can't say this, but I will. The poor closer's put in the middle. The seller's attorney is aggravated because he can't get an answer from the buyer's attorney, but the seller's attorney is in Timbuktu and the buyer's attorney is wherever fishing and is out of communication with the office because the closing's remote. The closing's remote in the sense that we need to be available to talk and handle things. That's my front. Yeah, I see Ryan. It puts an unfair, and again, he can't say this, I can. It puts an unreasonable burden on title and the closers in particular. And it also drags out how long closings are. You know, at a time when we're all trying to streamline how long we're at the physical closing, we're actually going in reverse in some respects because we can't get answers on simple things. So.
And Kevin, on that, I'm going to jump in too with you guys, the realtors, and all those statistics, Joan, that you shared, which were fantastic about that first-time homebuyer thing. I've been spending most busy days in one of my offices helping and assisting those closers because it's been chaotic. There's a lot of moving parts. And I can tell you, just for the buyers, for the consumers, when somebody isn't there and also isn't available, oh my gosh. I mean, they're trying to find other professionals that are here to help them with questions. There's a layer of nervousness. I mean, I sit in my office and any one of my offices really on a busy day, and when they come in, the first thing that's asked is, hey, will your attorney be attending your closing? Or what closing are you here for? They say, what's closing? Will your attorney be closing? We try to get this information way in advance, and many times it happens when the buyers come in, and way too often we hear, oh, I don't know. I don't know if they're attending or not. And they're kind of like a deer in headlights, right? I mean, this is such a stressful thing, from losing all of these opportunities, bidding on homes, how many they have to go to, and especially for those first-time home buyers, holy smokes. I mean, there's the lending side of it. Sean can chime in. I mean, how busy everybody is with refinances. And yeah, that whole like community, we do need to talk in a way, Diana, however we can, you know, the brokers, the attorneys, and everyone just needs to collaborate. And like Kevin said, if you can't show up, which there are legitimate reasons why people cannot show up in this environment, there really truly are, the least you could do is be available. And Kevin, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's one of those things over here, you know, this last 12 months, a lot of us in the title side, our faces are a little swollen and bruised up, right? Because we're overworking, we're overbooking. But I can tell you right now, we're not scheduling a closer with 5 closings at the exact same time. The reasons that sometimes they're working on 5 closings at the exact same time on a Friday of month end or mid-month is because of that, you know, what Kevin said. You know, the people just aren't prepared and available. So thanks, Kevin. I love that you said that.
and on that point, because we talked about walkthrough too, again, all of you on this call are good. You don't ghost me or sandbag me, where you do a walkthrough at 9:30 for the 10 o'clock closing. And if there's a problem or there's an issue, you guys do what I would expect professionals do. You call me and say, hey, be aware of this. We're in too many circumstances where the walkthrough goes, I'm, halfway through the buyer's package and suddenly, oh, there's water standing in the basement. Like, really? You decide to drop this on us now rather than before we started to figure out what we were going to do. So I think you guys will be back collectively because you want to be back. And I think both attorneys and the title companies are going to welcome that. I will tell you from, again, purely selfish motives, you guys help a lot at the table because you can help negotiate those last minute things and resolve while we're focused on either clearing a title issue or whatever the case may be.
On our last few closings we just happened to have a couple of closings the last couple of weeks. We've been allowed in, certainly in the lobby. I mean, maybe not in the back room for both closings. I think for one of the closings, we were allowed in the back room, but for the other two, we were allowed in the lobby. So, I mean, we're going now. I don't know if that's the case for all title companies.
Well, Dave, on that, there's a lot of misconceptions that happened this past year, that title companies, for instance, really quickly wanted to throw everybody out. And I do believe in the beginning, the number one thing was the safety of everybody who has to be here. So there was that. But over the last few months, I've seen more and more agents showing up, Dave. So it's good to hear you do that. We don't kick anybody out, or at least we shouldn't be kicking anybody out. But you have some other issues too. You have some offices are just smaller than others. But the coordination and communication, again, Dave, talk to Kevin. Kevin can easily text me. We can get a hold of the closer and even send him or her a quick message that says, hey, Diana, Dave, Sean, Lisa, they're going to be stopping by, what's a good time? And we could communicate like that. If you're hanging out in the parking lot, like Sean said, it's a quick little text message to come in. We're not going to stop you at the door by any means if you want to say hi and perhaps drop off a gift or something like that. So it is coming back, Dave. I encourage you guys to do it. You might not want to hang out for 8 hours if it's one of those, but
the world is getting there. Hey, we're about a couple minutes out before everybody. I mean, we can wrap up sort of with final thoughts, but let me get a screenshot with everybody smiling real fast. Okay. Please do not be like my children and hold it for a half a second. Do it. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. He knew this was coming, but when I stop smiling, then you stop smiling. Okay. I'm going to try to get the coffee mug in there. Oh, Kim's got it too. You brought your A game.
I forgot my real producer's beanie hat.
1, 2, 3, smile. I think we actually nailed that on the first try. Hold on. Let me see.
That's impressive. And my awesome cup is in my car too, and I should have grabbed it, but I was on a call and I ran in here, and it's just that's our lives these days, right? Everybody is just kind of like, woo.
It's all good. So I can, 30 seconds, 60 seconds. I want to keep it. I want to keep this tight for schedule. Like I said, I don't mind if we spill a minute over, but I want to keep everybody's schedules on point. So anybody have any final thoughts? I feel like I'm on an episode of Jerry.
I want to say
go ahead,
one,
Dave.
To Joan's, one of the original point that Joan made. I got a call from an F Properties agent on a listing that we had last year that had expired. And she said, hey, would they be interested in a showing? So we called the listing, or it happened to be a friend of ours. And they said, yeah, sure, no problem. Sold.
Yeah.
There's just no inventory.
Good story.
And there was a couple from the city. It was an F Properties agent from the city. And because there's no inventory and because it was priced right, it sold. That kind of lends to Joan's point of, agents just thinking differently and going back to doing expireds and canceleds. And, it led to a direct sale, a big one. So
that's cool, Dave. And I just want to say, that's the goal, of the relationships, the strength of relationships now that agents have and partners have and industry professionals have really just shines in markets like this. I mean, it really does put a spotlight on it. So, hey, everybody, I'm going to cut the live feed. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Okay.
for having us. It's been a great time.
Yeah, we're not live, so I'll let everybody go. kind of side note, if you want to get on another one of these, like we usually book these out at least a month, 2 months. But what we've been doing lately is if we shuffle the deck, get some different realtors, different partners on. So if you want to participate in a different one, maybe June or May, just shoot me an email and we can get another one of these queued up. But I always enjoy these. They're fun. Kevin, thanks for recommending this group. And,
Thanks for
Thank
participating,
you.
everybody. Have a great day.
Bye, you guys.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Adios.
Bye.